Let's talk a little bit about pistol. Again, we're going to be using the Combatives College, obviously, to cover all the topics. The initial defensive shooting series that came out in 1990 something kind of changed the way that people looked at pistols, the way they looked at drawing them and all that stuff. So I just want to go back there. We'll be putting those up on Prime as well. First, obviously, I'm going to check clear and make sure that the weapon is clear. I'm going to show my camera person that it's clear because I'll be pointing the weapon at her. So always gun safety first, right? And I'd use a blue gun, but I want you to hear trigger the way that I'm triggering and all that stuff during the draw. First, let's talk a little bit about just carrying and the ways to carry. So recently, back in the unit, we used to do a lot of appendix carry, what we used to call felony carry. But we always looked at that as an alternative method of carry. So in other words, we would use basically a string holster that I made that attached to the top of the jean pocket, and then there was a length of 6mm cord, and then you would clip it to another part of your jeans, and then the pistol would be inserted behind that, because reholstering wasn't as important as obviously being able to conceal well and being able to get it out quickly. So a lot of people would say like, well, with a Glock, I mean, that's dangerous. It's not fucking dangerous. It may be dangerous if you're significantly overweight or something like that, and you got the Dunlap where your stomach's fucking lapping over your belt. But in order to do that, we took the Glock, we actually had the striker cocked, unloaded, we rolled with it, we did combatives with it, we ran with it, we did everything to see if we could activate the trigger and actually make it fire. It never did in all of those activities. So there's a lot of people who will say like, well, that's an unsafe method of carry. Look, it's up to you how to carry. I'm just telling you from personal experience, unless you're a fucking idiot and you're finger banging the gun when you're pulling it out, that's not gonna happen, okay? But again, that's up to you. So the appendix carry now has become a thing, and people, instead of keeping it clean and just having a nice way to carry the pistol, if you're running to the store or something like that, they've made huge goddamn holsters, huge holsters that are like multimedia. They have Kydex leather, they're this big, they have magazines. So it's like you're wearing a goddamn fanny pack inside your waistband. Completely defeats the purpose of that carry, all right? Secondarily, you need both hands in order to make that draw. Now, people will talk about, hooking the thumb under the t-shirt or, doing small motor manipulation to get the pistol out. In a moment of duress, when you have to pull that pistol out, that's gonna fail. And typically what happens is guys will hook their thumb on the bottom hem of their t-shirt, they'll lift, grab the pistol, and when they come up, the pistol will be extended over the rear sight and they can't press it out. It's called a foul draw, right? You need two hands, and since you need two hands, that's more dangerous than when you have a split entry cover garment. A split entry cover garment, I can still get that done if I have to use this hand to hold you back, manipulate you, get you offline, or whatever while I draw the pistol. So I greatly prefer a hip carry. Now, that goes to, I'm a vertical 90 holster kind of guy. Back in the day, I used to do a lot of inside the pants carry because it was deep concealment. Let's not kid each other. It's not comfortable to sit on that uncomfortable block of shit all day. It's just not. It's right there on your kidney all day long. None of us are as thin as we used to be. So it's a thing, okay? The other thing is the draw, because you're having it at about a 7 o'clock position, or a 5 o'clock position rather, it's a little bit oriented the wrong way. I like the pistol, as soon as it comes out of the holster, to be oriented straight ahead. So if I have to go to a weapons retention position, I know where that's pointed, okay? The same thing is true with the abdomen carry. If you look at our combative series, what do we talk about fouling the draw on a felon? So if a guy walks up to you and he's fingering the bottom of his t-shirt like this, and you think he's gonna draw and pull a weapon out, what do we teach? Throw that hand down, foul his draw, and then go to work, right? So for the same reason, I don't prefer that method of carry, okay? You're gonna have to use two hands, and there's a lot of showing the back of the arm to the attacker, okay? So what I typically do is have a Kydex. I've gotten away from wearing it on my belt, and the reason again is I'm not deploying or anything like that, but even back then we used snaps so that we could easily take the weapon off and get rid of it, okay, if we needed to. In other words, the belt loops, you didn't have to take your belt off in order to ditch the pistol. Now, a little different circumstance, the paddles are fantastic because there are places where you can't or shouldn't carry your pistol. So the ability to take it off conveniently and easily makes a lot of sense for the average guy. Now, for the people out there that are hobbyists, that are trying to be like Jason fucking Bourne and playing some weird game in their head, you can wear whatever you want. But like in practical use, where you're looking at your real world of work and your real life and what's required for you to do, it makes a lot of sense, okay? So again, we're here to kind of a vertical carry scabbard, okay? The grip that we're gonna use hasn't changed, leading thumb's grip. Okay, so basically, as I take the weapon out, if you look at my hand, okay, if I use crossed thumbs, that makes my knuckles vertical to the ground, perpendicular to the ground, okay? But the minute that I take this thumb and I cam it fully forward, like I'm pointing with the thumb and point my finger down at the ground, you can see that ergonomically, this is not 90 degrees. So if I try to do this, I'm actually fighting the way my hand wants to be, right? My hand wants to be like this. See that knuckle line? That knuckle line is not this, right? So if I do this, I'm actually fighting what's going on with the ergonomics of the pistol and all that stuff. You hold the pistol with the right hand and you crush it with the left hand. The reason is sympathetic muscle tightening and the ease of the trigger finger. Now, there's a lot of people that teach crushing the gun with both hands and shooting through tremor, and that's okay. I just don't prefer to do it that way, and I never have. I hold the gun in the right hand, and I kill it with the left hand. Okay, so if you look, my hand can actually come off the gun, and I still can't shake it out of my hand. Okay, so again, what you're doing is camming that hand forward. This is the position you want it to be in. It's not this knuckle that's going to be under and laid into my thumb. It's this part of the hand. So as you can see, it's almost, it's not a knuckle actually, but it's the base of my palm right here that's actually gonna lay in there, all right? That's a stable grip. It's gonna let my trigger finger operate independently because I'm just holding the gun firmly with the right hand and I'm squeezing it to death with my left hand. So you've got front to rear pressure with the right hand, you've got left to right pressure with the left hand, all right? Your left thumb is actually what helps you aim. So if you think about it, if my attacker's in front of me, I'm actually pointing at him with my thumb, okay? So everything's kind of lined up just like this, all right? Similar to when we're boxing or doing Muay Thai, chin down, bite down, your head comes down, your shoulders come around. So basically what you're gonna be doing is this. Now, over the years, because of eyesight and all that stuff, you may have to adjust from a hard isosceles. A fucking hard isosceles means that your wrists are both bent. And what happens when a gun goes off? It's a detonation. What do detonations do? They follow the path of least resistance. So if I have two hinge points, right, there's much more likelihood that the pistol's gonna move around, felt recoil, and muzzle flip. And you're not locking out. So over the years, really an isosceles for me, or triangulated shooting, is kind of a half an isosceles. It's not Weaver, okay, because my arm's not bent, I'm not doing this. It's my right arm, my strong arm is straight like a rifle, just like throwing a punch, my cheek touches my deltoid, so I'm right here like it's a rifle, and then this arm comes across, so this is slightly gonna have a little bit of a bend to it, but my right hand is completely straight. It's almost like the power line with Jack Dempsey, right? Like he talks about vertical punching. It's almost like the power line. Now I'm just putting a pistol in my hand, okay? And that's a little bit about the grip and why we shoot the way we shoot. Can't say enough about red dot sights. You guys know that. I was the first guy to actually put them on a combat pistol. I did it initially because I wanted sight commonality between my primary weapon with a red dot sight, M4, and my pistol. It didn't make sense to me that my eyes worked one way with my carbine, and then if I had to transition, I had to make my eyes work another way, the 3-dot sights, with my pistol. So I just put the Dr. Optics sight on there. It was incredibly durable, it lasted, and it stood the test of time. I mean, look, that's the RMR now. I work with Trijicon way back on the RMR and all the red dot sights that are around there today. It is like cheating. Now, the reason it's like cheating, if you think about focal transition, in a moment of duress, okay, you do want to stare at the target. You do want to look at the target. It's a discipline that takes millions of rounds, in order to make yourself see the front sight clearly while you're being fired at and all that. It is the tendency of the moderately trained man, people who don't have the money for that kind of ammunition or the time for that kind of training or the reason for that kind of training, right, to get the red dot sight, because you are looking at your target. It's in focus and you are aware of the dot. So I'm not looking through the windshield. I'm not focusing on the dot. I'm focusing on the threat, and I'm just aware of where the dot is. And of course the dot is where the bullet's going to impact. Okay, point of aim, point of impact. All right, so that's a little bit about the red dot sight. So now let's talk about getting it out. All right, how do we get the pistol out? Already talked about our garment. I'll do another video on garment preparation and all the considerations about lining and all of that shit. And we'll also talk about some of the bad points about other holsters. But for now, let's just get to the draw, okay? So a draw should be completely able to be replicated time and time again the same way, so that you build motor memory, not muscle memory, motor memory, okay? That should be angles. Arcs are very, very hard to duplicate exactly over and over and over again. And the biggest mistake that you see when people are shooting, even if they're shooting fast, they could shoot faster if they do angles, is they scoop. So in other words, they're here, and when it's time to get the pistol out, they'll draw the weapon and scoop up to the target. Now let's talk about that for a minute before we even get into the draw. The goal is to be able to orient the pistol to the threat as quickly as possible so that we can shoot if necessary, okay? So think about it. If I scoop, I'm here, I see a threat, okay, I have to draw, can't shoot, can't shoot, can't shoot, can't shoot, overswing, steady, shoot. That's what's actually happening. And if you watch video in slow motion, as you should when you tape yourself, you'll fucking see that, okay? As opposed to, if I do it correctly, before we've even talked about how to do it, if I take the weapon out and I shoot, all right, now my weapon was immediately aimed at my target. Even if I have to shoot one-handed in kind of a modified, weapons retention position, I can do it. Okay, the other thing is he can't stop me from doing it. So in other words, once I get the pistol here, he can't do anything about it. All right, if he goes to grab the pistol, I shoot through his hands. But if I scoop, he can do a lot about it, because the weapon's not been brought to bear on him yet. So he can keep the weapon from coming to bear on him and make it basically a disarm. The gun may discharge, but it's not going to hit him. Okay, so for all those reasons, regardless of how fast you think you are when you're doing this, you will be faster if you use angles. Okay, now, when you go to a weapons retention position, two things change. One, the elbow goes down, okay, and it'll be a little bit lower and out of your sight line, because you have a physical index of your thumb hitting your pectoral muscle, so you know with pretty good reliability where the impact's going to be. When you draw to an actual draw stroke and you're going to fire at the end of that draw stroke, your elbow stays up, similar to pulling back a bow and arrow. So your arm, if you look at me from the rear, will be like this, as opposed to like this. The reason should be obvious. If I drop my thumb, if I drop my elbow, okay, so once I draw the weapon up to a weapons retention position, watch what happens to the pistol when I drop my elbow. See how it went down? Can't shoot, can't shoot, can't shoot, boom, shoot. All right, now let's do it right. So now, when I pull it up here and I come out, I can shoot right here, right? I can shoot as soon as that thing is there, I can shoot. And in fact, at the higher levels of what we do with shooting, you will shoot before you're at full extension, all right? Last thing I'll talk about before we go through the steps of the draw is component shooting. Component shooting is when the way I teach a draw is that it's the cumulative act of firing. So in other words, all of these pieces come together just shy of full extension, trigger pressure's complete, boom, and the weapon goes off, okay? Component shooting is typically how drawing is taught by the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all bad habits, right? Because you'll always have a hard time getting into a smooth, clean presentation where it's basically like pointing at someone, right? So when you decide to shoot, it should be bang. It should be that easy. And even though that seemed slow, it was very fast, because there's absolutely no non-essential, catchwords of the fucking day, right? Non-essential personnel. There's no non-essential movement. It's completely essential. Everything supports the draw. All right, so let's go through it real quick. All right, so the very first thing we want to do, cover garments here, right? all I'm doing is both hands move at the same time. So if I'm threat becomes target, right? So there's a potential threat and I'm kind of watching it, and then he does something that makes me say, oh fuck, I gotta shoot him, all right? I hate going on these tangents, but there's just a lot of information to talk about the drawing on a draw, right? What's the correct action? If you're not a duty person and you're not, driven or compelled to do something, what is the correct action initially when you think you're being threatened with a firearm, you see it? Move the fucking cover, right? It's not to outdraw the draw person. Yet in most pistol courses today, the metric of how good it was draw to shot time, right? Weird, but that's the way it is. Anyway, back to the draw. So we're here, both hands move at the same time. The same time I do that, I'm gonna attain a 3. I'm gonna clear my garment by taking the knife edge of the hand. I'm gonna hit my chest and I'm gonna do the minimal amount of movement to clear my garment. Okay, so I'm here. This hand is gonna start aiming. I'm gonna bring it here and point my thumb. This hand is gonna come up in the garment, and all I'm gonna do is insert it and turn it. All right, so I'm not doing this. That's an extra movement, and my hand is way back here. So now I'm gonna come back on the pistol. All I'm doing is this. Okay, so if you notice, my knee is dumping in. See the cover garment? So when I dump my knee in, watch the gap that's created. See the gap? Okay, what most people will do is they'll do this. They'll actually lean like this, which puts more material on the pistol. It doesn't make any fucking sense, okay? So again, both hands move at the same time. This hand's gonna start to aim, come about center chest, maybe a little bit to the right, and this hand is gonna clear my garment and get a 3-finger grip. So knee dumps, boom, I'm here. Now, I've got a good 3-finger grip, my thumb stays flagged. I'm not gonna put my thumb down, I'm gonna keep my thumb flagged. My hand's here, now I'm gonna come straight up until my thumb touches my pectoral muscle. Physical index as I straighten my leg. My eyes never leave my target. So I'm here. So now all I'm doing is I'm coming up like this. I'm not muzzle flashing my hand, and then I'm gonna push out and the finger's going into the trigger. Okay? So again, I put that all together. I'm here. All I'm doing is this. Okay, I'll do it again. Here. Okay? So again, I'm picking up the sight just off my cheek. So I'm here, my elbow's out, I'm picking up the sight right about here, my finger goes in the trigger, I start to squeeze, bang, and the gun goes off. Now, to keep yourself from scooping, and a good way to practice this, I'll just walk over here to the ring ropes, if you will. You can get up to anything that is a obstruction. So if I'm standing here, for instance, like there's no space at all, right? There's no way that I could draw this pistol and do this. Right? See how I'd go under the rope, or I might hit the muzzle on this rope? You can use a string in the doorway, you can do whatever, right? You're gonna practice right here. So all I'm doing is this. Okay, that makes sure that I'm coming up high enough and straight past my cheek. Okay, just like a punch. It's just like a fucking punch. What do we say in combat sports and boxing? Don't punch past your throat, punch past your cheek, right? So that you can feel your deltoid in your cheek. Now watch again. Both hands moving at the same time, dump my knee, clear the garment, 3-finger grip, boom, and I'm here. See that? Now I'll do it real time. So I'm here, I get my cue, or I see my target or whatever, I just start moving and boom. Now, the opposite of scooping is fishing or casting. Casting is this. So I'm here, I draw, and I do this. Okay, so again, using my verbal cues, I'm here, I see my threat turns into a target, I draw my weapon, can't shoot, now I can shoot. See it? Okay, so you don't want to scoop, you don't want to cast. Last comment, because Michelle's arm's getting weary, she's going like this right now. Last comment I'll make about this. Overextension. The same thing that you want to have happen with a snap cut with a knife, right? Like if I have a knife in my hand and I fucking snap cut like this, that hyperextension of my elbow is what makes that edge dig deep into the tissue. Okay, now think about you doing that with your pistol. If you hyperextend with the pistol, the same snap is going to happen, which means you can't responsibly shoot. Okay, if you're 1/8 of an inch off here holding the weapon, how far off are you going to be at 15 yards? Quite a bit. Okay, you have no idea where that round really went. So it's fast to the gun because it's free, there's nothing in your hand, and then it's smooth to the target. Okay, so if you notice, when I can move freely, I don't have anything in my hand, I can move fast as shit. And then as soon as I contact the gun, I slow it down and just get smooth. Okay? That's a little blurb on the pistol, went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but we'll do a lot more of this. Okay, thanks.